If Hezbollah supports the president and the government, why now, on the issue of disarmament of all non-state actors, why has Hezbollah rejected it outright?
In the United States of America, we have the Second Amendment where the people, they sanction and they give the authorization for having militias. The Lebanese have the right to defend themselves.
Hezbollah now is outside the constitution, and yet it is a political party that should be bound by those rules.
The government is outside of the constitution, not Hezbollah. The constitution says we have the right to fight our enemy. How come they bow to Western American pressure particularly and not take into consideration their own internal domestic interest and the point of view of their own people?
What do you say when others say that Hezbollah is doing exactly the same thing by aligning itself and taking orders, money, weapons, support from Iran?
I would challenge anyone to bring one single evidence about a thing that we did in Lebanon for the Iranian interest and not for the Lebanese interest.
If Hezbollah couldn't defeat or even deter Israel when it was at its most powerful, how does it believe it can in any way protect Lebanon now when it is weakened?
Fair enough, actually. This is a very interesting point to ask. Hezbollah has been very successful in beating up the Israelis. You're talking about 75,000 Israeli soldiers, fully armed to the teeth. They came to South Lebanon. Our heroes, our martyrs, have done something that is legendary actually in fighting the Israelis. The Israelis with 70,000 soldiers, they couldn't enter.
Some would say Israel is banking on Hezbollah refusing to disarm because Israel wants to continue its destruction of Lebanon.
Israel has always had its own ambitions in our land, in our soil, in our oil, in our water. If they comply with the international law, with the international resolutions, we wouldn't have this problem. If they applied and complied to the executive points of the 1701 that we agreed upon on 27th of November, we wouldn't have reached here. Lebanon and Hezbollah has done all and applied and complied to all of the articles of the agreement, and the Israelis never applied or complied to one item.
Welcome to the Real Talk podcast, where every fortnight we bring you interviews with important people on the most critical issues affecting the world. People who can move the needle forward and provide insights and alternative viewpoints that will enable us to be better informed and make wiser decisions. In today's episode, we are focusing on Lebanon and in particular Hezbollah and whether Lebanon is likely to spiral into civil conflict following the Lebanese cabinet's decision on August 7 to enforce the full disarmament of Hezbollah and all non-state actors. In the past year, Lebanon has witnessed one of the most significant political and military turning points in its modern history. Following another devastating war between Hezbollah and Israel, that not only claimed the lives of Hezbollah's top leadership, including its Secretary General, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, and his replacement, Hashim Safieddin, in September and October of 2024, but also thousands of others, mostly civilians, prior to and after these assassinations by Israel. This was followed in December by the fall of the Assad regime in Syria, one of Hezbollah's strongest allies, which further reshaped the balance of power in the Middle East. Last week, after much prodding from the US through its envoy, Tom Barak, and after talks with Hezbollah members failed, the Lebanese cabinet took an unprecedented decision in line with UN Resolution 1701 and the 1990 Taif Accord that ended the Lebanon civil war. That decision reaffirmed the oath made by President Joseph Aoun upon taking office in January to monopolize the possession of weapons under the state and disarm all non-state actors, which includes disarming Hezbollah. Within hours of the cabinet decision, Hezbollah followers took to the streets of Beirut and the Bekaa Valley in protest, blocking roads and firing weapons in the air, putting the country and the government on notice of what might be in store. The Hezbollah political party leadership issued its own statement immediately after, rejecting the cabinet decision, describing it as non-existent and warning of dangerous repercussions for Lebanon's sovereignty and security. In this interview, we speak with a member of of Hezbollah's parliamentary bloc to discuss the imminent threat to Lebanon. Is it external or internal? The war's aftermath, the political challenges ahead, and the future of the party, both politically and militarily. Today, I am pleased to be joined by Mr. Ibrahim Moussawi, a member of the Hezbollah party and a member of parliament, and a spokesman for the Hezbollah party, to discuss these and many more issues. Mr. Moussawi, welcome to Real Talk. We're undertaking this interview in the heart of the Hezbollah area in Dahya, south of Beirut. We thank you for inviting us to your home, to your premises, and to be able to undertake this frank and important discussion, not only for us, but for the Lebanese people and the world, but mostly for the Lebanese people who want to hear from your people and your party as to the future of their country.
Well, thank you for giving the opportunity. You're more than welcome here, actually. And I certainly praise the introduction that you have already started. And hopefully we will have a very fruitful and important discussion about the ongoings in Lebanon.
Thank you very much. Let me start by providing our audience with a brief bio on yourself. You are an accomplished journalist, an academic, and a long-standing spokesman of Hezbollah. You hold 2 bachelor's degrees in journalism and English literature from the Lebanese University, an MA in political science from the American University of Beirut, and a PhD in political Islam from the University of Birmingham. Professionally, you served as editor of Untitled, Hezbollah's weekly newspaper, and held roles at Al-Manar TV, including editor-in-chief of foreign news and also hosting a political talk show. You became widely recognized as Hezbollah spokesperson during the 2006 Lebanon war against Israel and have regularly appeared on international media outlets. You were elected into parliament in 2018 and returned in 2022 and represent the Hezbollah bloc for the Baalbek Hermel district from the Loyalty to the Resistance list. As an MP, you are a strong proponent of Hezbollah's positions on sovereignty and regional affairs, and recently you denounced statements by US envoy Tom Barak as part of a broader American-Israel agenda stressing the importance of Lebanon's sovereignty and resisting external influence. Welcome to the show again, and thank you for giving me and our audience your time.
My pleasure.
Let's start, going straight into the heart of it. I just want to establish a couple of facts. When Joseph Aoun was elected president of Lebanon on 9th of January 2025, despite him not being the candidate that Hezbollah preferred, Hezbollah did agree to support President Aoun and work with him for the betterment of Lebanon. Is that a correct statement?
Absolutely. We've always prioritized the Lebanese interest over anything, and we have always been very realistic in approaching the different dilemmas and the problems that Lebanon could be engulfed on or has been engulfed in. One of the things about President Joseph Aoun is that we know that he's not our candidate. We know that he has been pushed and there has been a lot of pressure that he should be the president. Yet we wanted to show that we are flexible enough and we are prudent enough, we're wise enough to look into the Lebanese interests and to come into common grounds with others. And this is what we did. We supported him. Haven't we agreed this would take place, it wouldn't have been possible, actually, that he becomes a president.
And similarly, when Nawaf Salam was announced as Prime Minister on the 13th of January, although not endorsed by Hezbollah, the party did give his cabinet and him a vote of confidence after he presented his cabinet's ministerial statement in late February and agreed to support that government.
Again, this gives you another evidence, actually, in this march towards bringing the country together. Yes. This gives you another evidence. Those are not our candidates. They are not from our political party. Actually, they have been supported by the adversaries, let's say like that. Yet we have agreed to come and support them and give them all the support needed in order to come into certain solutions for the country.
If Hezbollah supports the president and the government, why now, after a fair and democratic debate has been held by the cabinet and in the presence of the president on August the 5th and August the 7th on the issue of disarmament of all non-state actors, among other issues, to safeguard the country's security and sovereignty, and which Hezbollah itself signed off on when it agreed to the ceasefire agreement with Israel on 27 November 2024. Why has Hezbollah rejected it outright?
Well, when you reach into this point, we have to take the whole context. We're talking about the state. One of the basic duties and essential, genuine duties of a state, it's a must that they should protect and defend their people, and especially through the army. When you talk about the monopoly of the army, this is the alphabet of any political study, of any understanding that the state or the government should have monopoly over army. Yet we know in the United States of America we have the Second Amendment where the people, they sanction and they give the authorization for having militias, and for, they say, in order to guarantee the stability of democratic countries, then militias could be formed in order to support. And it's not enough that the army, look, this is in the United States of America, which is the unipolar system, which is the #1 state in its strength and its nuclear capabilities. And even when you talk about geography, it's there up thousands of miles between two oceans. See, and they give themselves the right to make these kinds of amendments, and they put it in the Constitution that they have the right, people and the groups, people, they could have the ability and they are authorized to have arms.
To bear arms.
Exactly. Now in Lebanon, we are engulfed in an area which has always been surrounded by enemies. Officially, Lebanon has one enemy, it's the Israeli occupation, it's the Israeli existence, it's the entity of the Zionists that is occupying Palestine. Lebanon has always been exposed, has always been prone to the Israeli occupations, invasions, incursions. They never feel shy to announce that they have ambitions in our soil and in our oil and in our water. So it's there in your... When you talk about Lebanon, it's not the issue of the arms that matters, actually. Why did Hezbollah, and before Hezbollah, why the people in Lebanon held arms and stood to fight the Israelis? Why? We should ask this question. It's because the government, the state, has never fulfilled one of its basic definitions and responsibilities, that you have to defend your people, you have to protect your people, and then you are a state. If you cannot do this, then you are not a state. You are a quasi-state. You are, a semi-state. Did we have a state at any time? We didn't. Again, it's the political decision that has been always dictated from outside. It's the political veto by the Western countries, by the United States of America, not to allow the Lebanese army, our army that we are proud of, and we have always raised a kind of formula, a kind of equation. People, resistance, and army, or army, people, and resistance. This is the tripartite equation or formula that we uphold and we continue to uphold, that we need to defend our country through this formula. The government, the army, the state has never fulfilled its basic responsibilities in providing security and safety and defense to the people. That's why it's not that the people replaced the army or replaced the government. It's the government that fell short to assume its responsibilities, which pushed people to do this, if you know the history of the resistance.
That's right. And I made a film many years ago in 1996 and talked about the resistance and the importance of the resistance. But when the resistance was formed, it was completely necessary. 1982 and before that, you're 100% right. Lebanon was controlled by militias. The army was weakened. But we've got to move to today, and we've got to look at the law. You presented to us the Second Amendment in the American Constitution. They've made it law, and they're allowing, that's their issue, and they need to deal with it. And look at America, where you have, I don't know how many millions every year die by gun wounds. That's for them to deal with. But today in Lebanon, this year has seen a shift, and the government is trying to take ownership, trying to take responsibility. And we have a government that is requiring and requesting that Hezbollah comes into line politically and militarily and enforces the Constitution. So the Lebanese constitution, as we mentioned, the Taif calls for monopolizing weapons. And so Hezbollah now is outside the constitution, outside, and yet it is a political party that should be bound by those rules.
The government is outside of the constitution, not Hezbollah. Because you're talking about constitution, about the Taif agreement. So when you talk about the constitution and when you talk about the regulations and we talk about the law, the rule of law, it is sanctioned within the constitution that the Lebanese have the right to defend themselves and that Hezbollah is not a militia. The problem is that they are trying to equalize Hezbollah with the other militias that have always fought in the civil war inside Lebanon. Hezbollah has always been a resistance against the occupation and it has never been part of the civil war. That's why it is in the different ministerial statements that has come in the different governments after the Taif, it's always that the Lebanese has the right to defend themselves and the legitimacy of Hezbollah arms is always there. Now what happened? If we want to go to the legitimacy and why I say that the government is outside of the constitution, not inside the constitution, because the constitution says we have the right to fight our enemy. Of course we want our government. It's a matter of honor, very good. But at the same time, you're assuming other people's responsibility. Did they come to a point where they could defend the people? They come to the point where they could protect the country? Did they reach to a point where they could keep our sovereignty intact? Of course not. They have never met any of the conditions. You are stripping Lebanon, you the government of Lebanon under Nawaf Salam now, you're stripping Lebanon out of its points of strength because of the outside pressure. We all know that what they discussed is the Tom Barak's, the American envoy paper. This is his paper. It's the Americans' paper. It's the Western countries' paper. It's not Lebanon's paper. And if you are under American pressure, then outside, foreign pressure, why don't you take into consideration the internal pressure, the people who are being killed and assassinated on a daily basis? We're starting with the government and giving the vote of confidence. And we continued, we said, there is an agreement, the procedure, the executive agreement of the 1701 that the Lebanese government, the Lebanese state, we all agreed upon. It says that there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. The one is that the Israeli occupation, they should withdraw. They should stop their aggression. They stop their assassination. They should release our captives. They should give us the opportunity to rebuild. So many conditions. In this order, in this chronological order, yet they made it upside down and they want to start with the disarming. We said, go execute these points and then come and we are ready to discuss. More than that, we're proposing to hold our sovereignty very intact and very strong and very solid. What happened? How come Lebanon? How come the Lebanese government, the Lebanese presidency, the Lebanese state, how come they bow to Western American pressure particularly and not take into consideration their own internal domestic interest and the point of view of their own people?
I think
This
they
is
are
one thing.
taking. I think they are taking that in.
No, they are taking the Western point of view into consideration and not taking their own interest. When we say we are ready to discuss it within the parameters of the Lebanese state, we don't want to be prone or exposed to Western pressure. And if we are a state, if we are sovereign, stop it here. This is an internal issue. This is a domestic issue. This is a national issue. You have no right to discuss my strength or whatever. But we're being dictated from the outside. We're now under the American mandate. That's why. So when we say that this is not acceptable and this is not constitutional, and the government that has taken such a decision, they should stop it. And they should say, yes, we withdraw this decision and we come back to discuss this within the conditions that hold and preserve our sovereignty. Another thing, we are a constitutional democracy.
Yes.
There should be agreement. This is something that you cannot vote upon and say, I want to disarm the country when the enemy is there, when the occupation is there, when the killing is there. And when they themselves sabotage the agreement when the Israelis and the Americans say, we, the guaranteers, we are not guaranteeing anything. They said, I'm not a guarantee. We cannot guarantee anything. Is this sensible in any way? Is this logical? Is this acceptable? Is this rational? Is this realistic that you give your arms to your enemy and there is no one who guarantees that they stop their aggressions, hostilities, killings, assassinations, and taking the land?
You've opened a whole Pandora's box of issues there, which I want to get to, but I want to be able to structure it. But you've made some very valid points. So I just want to go back to the statement made by the leader of the Hezbollah bloc, Haj Mohammed Raad. After the announcement by the cabinet, he described Hezbollah's handing over of weapons as suicide. Can you explain what specific threats Hezbollah believes Lebanon will face if it hands over its arsenal to the Lebanese army?
Actually, it's not, if you want to be very precise, it's not that we're handing our arsenal to the Lebanese army. Everybody knows that the Americans will not allow our army to have arms that are, or to give equipments, military equipments, arms, defensive arms that could help us beat Israel or defend ourselves or protect our people from Israel. This is it. This is not allowed. There is a veto. Other than that, if the United States consider itself a state that is a friend to Lebanon, that is caring so much about the Lebanese people, why don't they arm our army? Why don't they arm it, give it arms that could defend Lebanon from the Israeli war jets that come and bombard? And we're talking about defensive weapons. We're not talking about assault weapons. We're talking about defensive weapons. Why don't they give us, our army, this? And do they really accept that our army can fight Israel or defend the Lebanese people? This is not in the American agenda. This is not in the American dictionary at any point. Another thing, when you tell me what's the threat, how do you perceive the threat? Is there a threat? What does it mean? I can give you a very vivid example. Gaza is there. There is a real Holocaust. There is a real carnage. There is a real war of extermination against the people of Gaza. And the international community, the United Nations, the Security Council, the human rights advocates, the whatever, the American and Western governments that have always preached us as they are the advocates of human rights and whatever, they are denying people from mere living, from existing. And now there is a war of starvation against the Gazans. I give you another example. The Lebanese government should perceive the threat. Syria is next door. The Syrian new political system has already expressed its willingness to cooperate with the Americans, with the Israelis. Yet Israel came and damaged, destroyed with their war jets. They bombarded all the defensive capabilities of Syria. Though Syria said we are ready for everything, we're ready for normalization, we're ready for peace talks, we are ready not to attack Israel. They gave all the statements that would convey their real intention. What did the Israelis do? They came and bombarded Syria. And now the same is taking place in Lebanon. And again, when there is an agreement that has not been put into effect, has not been materialized, has been denied or has been dumped, has been like thrown away by the Israelis and by the Americans. How did the 27th of November happen when we had the ceasefire? It dictates 1, 2, 3, 4. They should withdraw from the Lebanese territories. They should stop their assassinations. They never materialized. They have never executed one single item, one single article of this agreement. And now they are drawing us into another agreement without any guarantee. If you want to guarantee, if you are really straightforward, if you are honest, if you want to put it through, why didn't you do the first one? See? So they are all vivid examples in front of our eyes that they are fooling us. And they are only taking into consideration the Israeli interest and the Israeli benefit, not the Lebanese one.
And this is an issue that continues to be raised globally, politically, by critics, by analysts, saying that Israel has never complied with any of the resolutions that have been passed against it for decades at the United Nations, and in particular recently with the peace and ceasefire agreements with Hamas. It hasn't complied fully. And I completely take your point that with the ceasefire agreement with Lebanon, it hasn't complied at all. But Lebanon and Hezbollah is in a compromised situation right now. And Israel succeeded in neutralizing Hezbollah or minimizing the power of Hezbollah last year with its heavy attacks on the country, its attacks of this area in the Dahiyeh, South Lebanon, and the Bekaa Valley, where I have many, many friends who live in those areas and have been traumatized by it. And in addition, the brutal pager attack, no one could have seen that coming, and it was a shock. Not only was it against international law, but it was a shock for Hezbollah and for the world to see the length of time that Israel had taken to prepare to undertake such an attack. Despite these losses, Hezbollah did manage, though, to regroup and confront a limited ground offensive by the Israelis when they tried to enter Lebanon in October, and was successful against them. But hundreds of Hezbollah fighters were killed, and the levelling of villages across southern Lebanon was, echoing the images we see in Gaza. And to your point, there is a real fear of what they could continue to do, and why you're saying you need to hold on to your weapons. But my question to you is, if Hezbollah couldn't defeat or even deter Israel when it was at its most powerful, how does it believe it can in any way protect Lebanon now when it is weakened and its allies like Syria and Iran have been either eliminated in the form of Bashar al-Assad or undermined and compromised in relation to Iran?
Fair enough, actually. This is a very interesting point to ask. First of all, let me tell you, actually, Hezbollah has been very successful in beating up the Israelis. You're talking about 75,000 Israeli soldiers armed, fully armed to the teeth. They came to South Lebanon. They couldn't push into Khiyam. Our heroes, our martyrs, have done something that is legendary, actually, in fighting the Israelis. They didn't allow them to push into Khiyam after 2 months, after 66 days. You're talking about, yes, hundreds of young people who died, who gave their lives for the sake of the country. But the Israelis, with 70,000 soldiers, they couldn't enter. So we succeeded on the ground battle. See, when you say that you couldn't stop this aggression, I tell you, and has so many villages have been leveled, 75% of the damage that happened after the ceasefire, not during the war. And when we accepted, I tell you, and here I don't lie, when we accepted the ceasefire, we didn't accept it because we were defeated. Yes, we had losses, very great, very big losses, but this has not beaten our will or determination to continue to fight. Even when those who were making the mediation or making the negotiations, we told them, we're not so hurry to go and make any ceasefire agreement. If we are in a hurry, it's because of our people, the civilians, and we want to spare them any more damage, any more loss of lives. And under the eyes of the international community who said it's a guarantee, and under the eyes of our state, the state made the agreement, and we said, your government, assume it's your responsibility, go from here. But what happened? Again, if this is true, then it applies to the Lebanese army. And it applies to all of the Arab armies together, because the United States has always pledged to keep the supremacy of the Israeli army over all of the Arab armies altogether. If you couldn't win a battle, then this legitimizes that you leave, you drop your arms and surrender? And what's the alternative? What are they offering?
But the point is that even at your strongest, and we know that Israel is backed by America and Western governments and receiving countless, supplies to serve their interests. if Hezbollah continues, isn't it futile, and won't it just lead to more deaths and destruction and leveling of Lebanon? Because we look at Gaza, they have might in the air that we don't have, that Hezbollah doesn't have, that the Lebanese army doesn't have, that Syria is gone, Iran's not going to protect us.
Who is offering protection? I'm asking the question the same. If you're saying your strength couldn't protect you, and I tell you that 75% of the destruction happened after. So after the agreement and the official guarantee by the international community, you know, we have 5 countries who said they are guarantees, and they didn't do anything about it. So they are not offering, there is no alternative. That's why you have to hold to your arms. Another thing, what happened in Suwaida for the Druzes? What happened in the coastal Alawite areas inside Syria? Who can give any guarantee about anything of the international community if the United Nations, if the Security Council failed to assume their own basic responsibilities? Dear, I'm talking about 20,000 of children, Palestinian children, who have been mutilated, killed, incinerated, holocausted, Israel in Gaza, because Israel is killing. And now they continue to exterminate them by starvation, a war of starvation under the eyes of the community. Look, I believe any reasonable person, any sensible person, any logical person cannot accept and will not buy the words of the international community, the United States, the United Nations, the whatever. Because we've been living under this lie for ages and ages. Now, there is no other offer, no other alternative that is satisfactory to the Lebanese government, to the Lebanese state, to our people. If there is one that we can discuss, come show it to me. But we had one and they didn't implement it. This is something that is purely Lebanese issue. We should not, if we have a responsible, if we have a sovereign government, if we have a sovereign state, it should say, stop. This is something that has Lebanese will discuss together, and we will come into common grounds, and we are ready positive to discuss anything. We're not closed. Here we're not talking about it. We give and take. We are ready to discuss anything. But is there anything to discuss?
I understand, because what we've witnessed, there is no honest broker in the world. There is no America where you can trust that they will keep their word, because they failed on many occasions, and historically with the Palestinians. All of that has been exposed now. And even again, the French.
And again, if you allow me, I want to bring you back to the 2006. Everybody knows, there is no one that can deny that the Israelis have been dealt devastating blows during 2006 war, and we called it the divine victory. What happened in 2006? The Israelis pushed with the pride of their army, the Merkava, and they turned to be tombs of fire, isn't it? It's Hujair Valley. This is a super state that is armed to its teeth by nuclear weapons, supported by the United States. They only take revenge after 18 years. They accepted, and they made, we all know the Vinograd committee that made investigation about the losses and about the humiliation defeat of the Israelis. That is the super state that has nuclear weapons, has the backing of the Western countries. They waited 18 years. And now, because of a battle that, say, we lost a battle, because of what happened, they want us to drop our arms and to accept that these arms cannot defend anymore who you are talking to, what you are addressing. If we have a point of strength, you have to add it to the army. As a community Lebanese, we assumed our responsibility. We did our share of defending our country, protecting our country. They should do their share, not ask us to stop and drop the weapons. They should bring enough weapons to Lebanon and to Lebanese, and we all fight against any enemy, whether it's from any side of Lebanon.
So this is a matter of the order of priority versus what you're willing to accept and do is based on reversing or changing the order of priority of what happens in these agreements and the measures that are being proposed.
True.
Some would say Israel is banking on Hezbollah refusing to disarm because Israel wants to continue its destruction of Lebanon. destabilizing the economy, threatening security of the state, and scaring off investment and tourism. And as long as Hezbollah continues to reject the decisions of its own government and fails to comply, Israel and Netanyahu in particular have an excuse to continue to fulfill their plan, and so that way they win. Netanyahu in particular because he can continue to hold on to power and delay his trial, and so the cycle of fighting and destruction and violence continues. What is your response to this perspective?
Well, first, Israel has always had its own ambitions in our land, in our soil, in our oil, in our water. And they have carried aggressions against Lebanon long time before Hezbollah existed, even before the advent of Hezbollah into the area. The Israelis have carried so many massacres in Lebanon, and they have made the invasion of 1982, the invasion of 1978, where we had the UN resolution 425, and the Israelis never implemented. So again, when they say this, it's a kind of blackmail to Lebanon and to the Lebanese government. See, if they comply with the international law, with the international resolutions, we wouldn't have this problem. If they applied and complied to the points, to the executive points of the 1701 that we agreed upon on 27th of November, we wouldn't have reached here. Lebanon and Hezbollah has done all and applied and complied to all of the articles of the agreement, and the Israelis never applied or complied to one item. Here the issue starts. This is one thing. The other thing, again, it's not the matter of arms. What do you prioritize first? Do you prioritize the security and the protection, or do you prioritize the economy and the tourism? Could you have tourism? Could you have tourism and economy without enough protection? Again, I bring you to the 1968. Lebanon was witnessing a boom in the 60s. The Israelis landed in the Beirut airport, and they blasted and bombarded the Lebanese civil aviation fleet. Why did they do it while Lebanon was booming? There is no excuse. So again, when they say this, I give you these examples. The governments come and go, the presidents come and go, whoever, but the people are there, and the basic interests of the country are there. And those who are assuming responsibilities, whether they are presidents, premiers, whoever, they should be loyal enough to their countries and not to what dictations come from outside.
There is a saying that states to pour fuel on the fire. I'm sure you've heard of it, which means to make a bad situation worse. For those not immersed in the flames, we see that Hezbollah might in fact be pouring fuel on the fire with its stance, whereas the smart thing to do would be to pour oil into troubled waters and neutralize the situation. If Hezbollah were to comply with what the Lebanese government, your government, our government, and your leadership decided, if it were to hand over its weapons and work hand in hand with the government and the army to truly defeat the Zionist enemy, then wouldn't Hezbollah be praised as the genius that called Israel and America's bluff and forced the enemy to end its occupation, bombardment, and destruction of Lebanon? I know you're going to come back and say they're not going to do it, but we need to call their bluff, and Hezbollah has a historic moment right now to call their bluff, to say we are standing with our government. This is a historic moment. We have a new president, we have a prime minister, a cabinet that the world is supporting. And if Hezbollah says...
Are they really supporting them? Verbally.
Visually, right now, perceptively, it looks like, but there has been a shift globally.
Israel interest is the number one priority to all of this world. And what the Israelis dictate will happen according to the Western countries, not to our determination and will. We have opened up. We said we are ready to all kinds of discussions. We are asking them to be responsible to what they mentioned, to what they committed themselves to in the ministerial statement, in the pledge of oath, and in the talks that they said, and in the agreements that they made with the Westerners.
And you're talking about the priority of forcing Israel to withdraw, ending the
Of course,
occupation.
absolutely, and we are ready to open up and to make discussions. We are very positive. Again, if they are ready to make this defensive strategy that could provide some protection to Lebanon, if they put into effect and comply and apply what we have agreed and what Lebanon agreed upon, and something that you didn't mention. They said south of Litani, we accepted south of Litani, all of it. The Lebanese army statements say that Hezbollah has fulfilled its responsibility 100%, and it complied with everything. The Israelis never complied with one single item. So, I mean, what's the rational, what's the reasonable? To apply more pressure on Hezbollah to make more concessions and Lebanon make more concessions while the Israelis have never committed themselves to one single item? I mean, come and show me. If you want to corner me, corner me. I mean, corner Hezbollah, corner the government of Lebanon. What's happening is the other way around. We're making concessions. The Israelis are not applying any of the agreed upon agreements, and yet you ask Lebanon to make more concessions. Accept. Now, why should it be the way? Why should I? What you're
Because
asking
it's a
me,
smart
what
way.
you're asking me, this is not smartness. This is complete foolishness. Believe me, history is a wise teacher, and ask all of those who have handed their arms. Go to Bosnia and Herzegovina. To go to the Egyptian army that surrendered, one of the Egyptian army squadrons that surrendered in Sinai. Go to all of those who gave their arms. What happened? Go to the Palestine Liberation Organization in 1982 who handed their arms. Only after 2-3 days, the massacres, notorious massacres of Sabra and Shatila took place. So you're asking me to do the same? Philippe Habib, he was the American envoy to Lebanon in 1982.
Yes.
He said, I give you guarantees that the Israelis are going to stop. It's only the Galilee operation. They want to push the Palestinian liberation fire only to the Litani River, to Awali River. They came to Beirut. They occupied Beirut. They went to presidential palace in Ba'abda. Sharon sat there. They carried Sabra and Shatila massacres. These are the lessons of history.
Yes, it's true, and I can't deny it.
Thank you.
It's a matter of trust, and there is no trust. The trust bank is depleted when it comes to America and Israel. But what I'm trying to get to, and I'll just continue with a few more questions, is how do we solve this internally? And how does Hezbollah and the Lebanese solve this internally?
The whole issue is the issue of occupation in Palestine, in Lebanon, in Syria, in Egypt, in whatever. Ever since this existence came here into this region, the Israeli entity, the Israeli existence, we had all of these occupations, all of these wars, all of these massacres, all of these aggressions, all of these incursions, all of these invasions, all of these problems. Then you ask the victim to make more and more concessions. Palestinians go out of Palestine. Where is Palestine? Where is Gaza? Where is the West Bank? They want to make exodus. They want to export them away to Jordan and to Sinai. Okay? And again, you ask me to be wise. You ask me to offer solutions. I didn't make the problem to offer a solution. The international community, the United States of America, the Western countries, the hypocrite Western countries are responsible for our dilemmas, for our suffering, for the people suffering. That's why they should be asked to find solution, to exercise a little pressure on Israel, to hold it responsible to its agreements, to what they committed themselves to. You don't apply its items and articles, and yet you come to the weaker part and say, make more concessions. Just like what happened in Palestine. Now, where is Palestine? When it started, they wanted to divide Palestine, 194, we all remember. Two different states. It was half. The Arabs never accepted. It was unfair. Now the Israelis have 90% of Palestine and the Palestinians, and they want even the 10% to send them away. Yeah. The same happened in Lebanon time after time, time after time. The only time when we had real dignity, sovereignty, it was when the resistance was there. Now you say the resistance arms is not like enough and it cannot protect, but it protected for 18 years.
But now they have much more support and they have freedom of the airways, the seaways.
So you're saying there is a tipping of balance, and that the Western parties and the Western countries are supporting them. So you have to surrender.
No, we need
So they
to
can come and massacre you.
I don't agree with that at all. I'm trying to find, use the system against them. How do we use the system against them?
You cannot use any system against them, because they twist the system the way they want it. They change the system the way they want it.
Let me jump into the next question about the visit of Mr. Ali Larijani, Secretary of the Supreme National Council, Security Council of Iran. Is here, I believe, after his colleague Ali Akbar Wilayati, I hope I pronounced that right, issued a statement that many, including Lebanon's Foreign Minister Youssef Raji, considered to be provocative and violates Lebanon's sovereignty, when he said that Iran opposes the Lebanese government's decision to disarm Hezbollah, considering that its fate will be failure. Other than statements laden in rhetoric, can you tell us where Iran was when Hezbollah was being decimated by Israel, and where Iran was when your Secretary General was assassinated? And how do you respond to what many believe, that Iran's support of Lebanon and of Hezbollah is only to strengthen its negotiating position with the US and save its own skin?
The negotiations with the United States is not there anymore. And when Iran has been hit severely by the Israelis, Hezbollah never used its arms to defend Iran. Iran never only supported Hezbollah, they said they are ready to support the Lebanese army, but there is a veto that the Lebanese army receive any arms. The offer has always been there on the table, but our governments and our army never accepted, because it is the way it's trained and it's being supplied by the Americans. The Americans would put a veto on any armament of the Lebanese army from Russia, from any country that is not within the parameter of the Western countries. This is one thing. The Iranians have offered Lebanon to start a power plant, in order to generate electricity power to the Lebanese. The Lebanese government never at any time accepted that. It's not only for
Why
Hezbollah.
didn't they?
Because there is a veto from the Western countries, from the United States of America, not to accept this. They say it's a state within the state. This is because they have never made a state in the first place. Why do we assume the responsibility of protection and fighting and defense? Because the army didn't do it, because the government never equipped our army, never taken a sovereign decision. Again, when you come to Youssef Raji, the foreign minister of Lebanon, Mr. Foreign Minister, when he is so sensitive about the Iranian statements, he should be equally sensitive and more sensitive about the American and Western interference. The American envoys came and they said from the presidential palace in Abda, they gave statements against a large segment of the Lebanese people. We're talking about the Shiites, we're talking about Hezbollah, and they have always violated our sovereignty in so many different ways, you see? So that's why, when you talk, Lebanon is an open arena now. Lebanon is an open field for everybody. We all know that Iran supports all those who would fight the occupation. They supported the Palestinians, they support the Lebanese, they support the Syrians, and they are ready to support anyone. They supported those who are under aggression in Iraq by the Daesh, by ISIS. They supported the Afghanis when they were under the occupation. So again, this is Iran that is supporting the Lebanese government and the Lebanese state, while the Lebanese government is only sensitive for the statements of Iran and not the statements of any other countries who interfere day and night in our affairs.
But why didn't they launch missiles against Israel when Lebanon was being so heavily bombarded?
We all know that our weapons come from Iran. We said that everybody knows that. But no, there is no defensive agreement between Lebanon and Iran that Iran interferes when Lebanon is under attack. There is no agreement between the two governments, and we are in a position to defend our country and to defend our people and to defend our sovereignty and to defend our independence. Iran is a state that supports, and this is enough of a role, and we are satisfied with what they did for Lebanon and for the Palestinians and for whoever come under aggression or come under occupation.
Well, let me ask you this then, because this is what, I'm on the ground and I'm talking to Lebanese in Lebanon and in the diaspora. And one very important point that you continue to put forward about the foreign minister, the Lebanese government, the cabinet being accepting of advice from America, or
it's not advice.
Allowing interference, political interference from America. You're clearly against that. Hezbollah is clearly against any foreign interference.
All those who believe in the genuine and real sovereignty, independence of Lebanon never accept any kind of violation and interference by any country.
So then the question is, what do you say when others say that Hezbollah is doing exactly the same thing by aligning itself and taking orders, money, weapons, support from Iran? How do you see the difference? Because to them there is no difference.
Absolutely, there is a huge difference. One of the things is that had the Lebanese government and the Lebanese army accepted to be supplied by arms by Iran, Iran would have given to the Lebanese army, but there is no decision in the Lebanese government to take this from Iran. One thing, Hezbollah is ready to take, if any Arab country is ready to supply us with arms, we're ready to take it. We took from Syria when Syria was supportive of the resistance. You see, we're ready to take from any country who would help our people. Again, I go back to Iran.
But it's about the influence of Iran.
I would challenge anyone to bring one single evidence about a thing that we did in Lebanon for the Iranian interest and not for the Lebanese interest. Iran supports us for our own sake, to support the Lebanese, not for its own sake in order to advance its interest or whatever in the region, as they say.
Yes, because that's the point. They say that it's expanding the caliphate,
Again, I want because it's not, you're talking about history. Even before the advent of the Islamic Revolution era of Iran, before the advent and before the success, the victory of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Imam Khomeini, with his book Al-Jihad, it's called, he gave a fatwa, the meaning of fatwa, a religious decree, that they could pay, one of the very sensitive, most sacred issues, it's the money of khums, they say, zakat and khums and whatever. He issued a fatwa that the Shiite people could give their money to the Palestinians to fight against the. This was before the revolution and before the Islamic Republic. So it is enshrined within the constitution that they should support people who are victimized by any other imperial or colonial or occupation power. This happened with the Yazidis in Iraq against ISIS. This happened with the Kurds. Ask the Kurds, they'll tell you. Ask the foreign minister of Algeria. It's there in the history. When they interfered in Bosnia and Herzegovina, what kind of national interest does Iran have there in Bosnia?
You've got to say there's a difference. There's a difference because it's been a long-standing relationship. And because we often see statements made by Al-Khamenei and prior religious leaders, supreme leaders in Iran, and we see visits between the Hezbollah and Iran.
You know the history between, again, because you want to dig deep into history, do you know that the Wilayat al-Faqih jurisprudence system went from Lebanon to Iran and not from Iran? It's not Iran made, it's Lebanese made. One of the forerunners of the Muslim Shiite scholars, he went to, his name is Al-Muhaqqiq Al-Karaki. He is the one who formalized, he is the one who brought the concept of Wilayat al-Faqih to Iran, and then it became a theory for the political system. You see, you're talking about history of like centuries back.
I'm talking about recent history. I'm talking about when Hezbollah was created and the support and the things that are most prominent and common in people's minds today, and feel like Hezbollah is more aligned to Iran than to Lebanon.
Absolutely not.
And the Lebanese
Who did we fight with? Absolutely not.
Well, we can go into that in a minute.
You can bring, I can discuss this till tomorrow with you. And I give you a host of evidence that we have always scaled. We never say that we're part of this, if you want, axis that is against the colonial power, against the imperialists, against the
But they say the same that
occupation.
Iran is doing that. It's a colonial power in Lebanon and guiding Hezbollah instead of Hezbollah just being really part of the Lebanese.
We are part of Lebanese. We want the Lebanese to be part of Lebanon. We're more than Lebanese than anyone can say, because we have sacrificed our blood here. We didn't. Did we lose our... I was asked this question once in a debate. It was in 1996 or whatever, and they were saying, I remember at that time, the president of Iran was Ahmadinejad, and they said, Iran gave weapons, Sayyid Nasrallah sent weapons against Israel, and you're doing this for Iran. I asked them, when you do politics, you do it to maximize your profits, don't you? Isn't it? This is what most... Did Sayyid Nasrallah send his son Hadi, his elder son, to die for the sake of Iran or for the sake of Lebanon? Did we lose Sayyid Nasrallah for the sake of Iran or for the sake of Lebanon? You go and ask the people, the lay people in the street, and they would tell you. I would challenge, and I would really be in a position to dare say Hezbollah is more independent and sovereign than many governments and many states in the region. And more than that, Netanyahu himself said, we came to recognize that Sayyid Nasrallah dictates his will on the Iranians and not the opposite. Go pick up Netanyahu's words. And that's why we targeted him.
Very interesting.
Yes, it's there.
If there is such strong passion that I hear from you and I feel from you for Lebanon, then why haven't you been able to sit around that table and talk honestly and openly with other members of the Lebanese, government and the president, the prime minister, having this sort of intimacy where you really say, we have to put our hands together and we have to work. Your strengths, Hezbollah has definite strengths that the Lebanese government and army do not have. How do you bring them together to serve Lebanon without, and being clever in how to address the Western nations, address the international, viewpoints and the criteria outlined, because there has to be a way to beat them, and only together, as Nelson Mandela said when he worked and joined the African National Congress, alone we are strong, but together we are mighty. You are a mighty force, and I'm not here, pretending to support and be a backer of Hezbollah. I'm here being an objective voice, seeing the capability of Hezbollah, because I have many friends who are Shia, many, and they're Lebanese first and foremost, and they say, we're not Iranian Shia, we're Lebanese Shia.
We're not Iranian Shiites, we're Lebanese Shiites. We are proud to be Lebanese. We have always been Lebanese. We will continue to be Lebanese. We will continue to work for the Lebanese interest as a top priority, not for any other country. We are ready to receive support from any country to help our country, Lebanon. I'm not talking about only this president, or I'm talking about this prime minister. I tell you, when we insist that we want to be one, army, people, and resistance. What does this tell you? When we insist to be part of the government, when we commit ourselves to the parliament, when we are the number one constituency that is ready to fight corruption, when we made our agreement, our understanding with the Free Patriotic Movement, when we did this agreement, the Free Patriotic Movement was against Syria. Syria, the number one ally with Hezbollah. And we were against Israel. You see, the number one enemy to Lebanon. How did we come together if it was not the Lebanese interest that brought us together. This will tell you that we always worked for the Lebanese interest, and we put it as the basic. Our statements, our political literature, it always say Lebanon is the final destination for all of its Lebanese. We don't want to be part of this country or part of that country. We want to bring the support of other countries to make a real, just, fair, capable state. But the problem is the interference of other regional Arab countries here and the Western American countries is not allowing this.
But our own
when
people,
they are genuinely interested in building this country, you will see we are the first to join hands, to join efforts in order to
but we have a history of the last 2 decades of political leadership that was in it for its own interests. And you said to me, you know, how are we not supporting Lebanon, working for the interests of Lebanon? And I say to you, and as I clearly stated in my documentary, enough, there was a demonstration that every political party was in it for its own interests. And this division of Lebanon as a cake and a pie, dividing up parts of Lebanon and the wealth of Lebanon and the ministries to serve their own interests, is what brought us to this disaster that we're in today, and the lack of trust and the lack of confidence that Lebanese and the diaspora have in government, but in the government and the leadership and the political parties. Hezbollah has made movements in the right direction, but now is a new era. The past is the past. The Free Patriotic Movement is no longer what it was, and a lot of people are critical of the Free Patriotic Movement. And it's not to say the other parties are any better. What we Lebanese want, and what the Lebanese and diaspora in here want, is real political leadership that is completely committed to Lebanon, as you just mentioned. But we're seeing this fracture still evident, and this is one way that it's demonstrating, and one way that everyone is going to continue to pick on Hezbollah is because of this point. I know what you've said and you've repeated it, but I'm going to repeat one more thing. We have a chance right now. Hezbollah is the key to making Lebanon rise again with dignity, if only it will work with the government and the army and not against them. And whatever way it's not happening. It's not happening at the moment. Hezbollah can be the hero. Hezbollah can take the position of the hero and not the villain. And right now it has a choice.
These are your words. This is your definition. This is your understanding. When you say Hezbollah can be the hero, Hezbollah can be the whatever, this is what has been said to Anwar Sadat when he went to Jerusalem and surrendered Egyptian the Great to the Israelis. This has been said to him. This is the peace of the brave. Actions speak louder than words. We have sacrificed the purest, the most pure personalities in our life for the sake of our country. We want the Lebanese government, I tell you again, everyone comes and goes, personalities, figures, whoever they are, kings, emirs, presidents. You can count as many as you want. The people are there. If you want to go to the instinct of the people and ask them, go to the Lebanese, make a poll and ask them, do you want Hezbollah to surrender its arms under these circumstances? When the Lebanese army has no decision to fight against the Israelis, when the Lebanese army has no equipment to do, we want our Lebanese army to join us in the same equation. People, legitimacy, army and resistance. We want to be together, and we want the government to be part of this. We want our government to be sovereign enough as to say no to the Americans when they want to dictate their will against us. We want them to say, we want to discuss a Lebanese paper, not an American paper, a Lebanese agreement. We want to make amendments and the changes to any agreement coming from any country in order to serve best our Lebanese interest. This is what we want, and we are ready. Those who sacrificed are ready more to give more sacrifices for the sake of Lebanon. Those who have always benefiting from Lebanon, they want to take more benefits from Lebanon. I tell you, we are telling them, this is a golden chance, a golden opportunity for the government, for the president, for those who assume responsibility. Let's come together, be sovereign, be strong, ask them, corner the Americans, corner the French, corner the British. Tell them we will not carry attack against any country. But if any country come to attack us, we want to defend our people. Don't you like us? Interest? Come give our Lebanese army enough arms, and Lebanon will commit itself that we will only use it for defensive purposes. If they come to attack us, kill our people. When the government does not assume its basic responsibility of protecting the people, they cannot ask people not to protect themselves.
All I'm trying to solve is Lebanon's problem. Hezbollah and the Lebanese government.
I would take your words, I would reverse the equation and say, come, the resistance has proved its fruitfulness, its ability to beat up. I advise you, and you will know with your heart, with your instincts, that I'm saying the truth, I'm not lying. We're here.
I believe
we
you're
don't have
telling it.
other nationalities. We don't have other places to go. They are asking us to
sign away.
Sign a surrender treaty that can never bring not sovereignty to Lebanon, not a protection to our children, and not any guarantee.
I'm not saying...
That's why we want to keep the strength of Lebanon and want to see our Lebanon. And I tell you, hopefully there will be one day when you will see that, inshallah, they will fail. And we, the Lebanese, all of the Lebanese, genuine Lebanese, will prevail, inshallah.
I'm not saying surrender. What I'm saying is you have a problem. If you don't like what's on the table, then you have to work as a mother and father with the government, the army, and Hezbollah to come to a solution that will save the country.
Show me the image of the father or the mother, and everything can be solved easily.
We have a president, we have a prime minister, we have a cabinet, we have
a south that is, we have a south is still under occupation. We have agreement that they all signed. Let them, our president, our premier, let them exercise the pressure. We did our part. Do your part.
But what I'm saying to you is, if you continue this tit for tat and wait for this and that,
we're not
instead
doing.
of
They are doing it, not us. We are holding to our basics. We are holding to our basics. You cannot ask me to leave the basics. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this very passionate and heated discussion. Very important. I'm very glad that we've got you on the record for Hezbollah. And, you know, there may be points we continue to disagree on. I believe in a solution. There is always a solution. And the Hezbollah is part of Lebanon, and Lebanon cannot be Lebanon without the Shia and the Hezbollah. So my hope to all those watching and to the people leading this country in the positions of power is that mediation, negotiation, compromise with the interests of both have to be reached to serve Lebanon. And I believe it is possible. I wish I was sitting at the table with you. Thank you so much for this conversation today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of Real Talk. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Real Talk and experiencing firsthand the real stories told by real people. I hope you found value and meaning, and encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Your ongoing financial support is vital to our ability to continue delivering these stories, so please remember to click on the donate button in the description, giving only what you can afford. I spent my whole life giving my time, money and skill to serve human rights and social justice causes, and I know it's not easy to keep giving selflessly. But this work is important because the mainstream media has failed to live up to their obligations. So we need to step up, speak up, or we're no better than them. I believe by tuning in to this podcast, you are someone who wants to know the facts and the truth, so you can independently decide what to believe and what not to. My job is to deliver that information. Yours is to place a value on it. Whatever you decide is humbly welcome. Thanks again, and see you on the next episode of Real Talk.